Hello, thanks for downloading GirdDraw. In this video, I'll go over the basics on how to use GirdDraw to create simple grid-based graphics quickly and easily. Upon opening the app for the first time, you'll see a screen something like this. Tap the New Grid button on the top right to create your first grid. Now that you've created your first grid, simply tap anywhere on the grid to start a new line. Continue tapping to create new segments or joints. The individual segments of a line are indicated by circles at each joint. You can select individual joints simply by tapping once and tapping again to deselect. To select multiple joints, long press to activate multi-select mode, then drag the selection rectangle around the joints you'd like to select. To add individual joints to a selection, simply tap and hold. To select all of the joints in a line, simply select one of the joints and then tap and hold that joint. To delete one or more joints, simply tap the Delete Trash Can on the tool panel. Of course, if you did not mean to delete those joints, there's always the Undo button. To create an arced segment, simply select the segment you'd like to create an arc for and use the Arc tool in the tool panel to create an arc. The arc will always be applied to the trailing segment, where the direction of a line is always indicated by an arrow at one of its tips. You can arc multiple segments at once by selecting multiple segments and using the Arc tool as I just described. To set a precise arc value, tap the Arc button in the tool panel and enter the desired degrees in the field provided. To change the line thickness of a line, select at least one joint on the line or lines you'd like to change, then press and drag the size slider on the right-hand panel. You can set a precise line thickness by tapping the Size button on the tool panel, then entering a number in the field provided. To change the stroke color of a line, tap the left-hand side of the Stroke Fill button on the tool panel. Use the Hue, Saturation, and Brightness sliders to select your desired color. To change the fill color, simply do as I just said for stroke, but with the right-hand side of the Stroke Fill button. You can also change the line butt of the line, that is, how the line looks at the tips. To change the line butt, simply tap and hold the line butt button on the toolbar and drag to select your desired line butt. You can also change the line join by tapping and holding the Line Join button on the toolbar and dragging to select your desired line join. You can zoom the grid in and out by pinching the grid. Move your fingers closer together to zoom out and move them further apart to zoom in. In drawings composed of multiple lines, it can become challenging to target a specific line, which is why you can cycle between the individual lines easily by using the up and down arrows on the bottom left of the screen. You can also change the size of the grid frame by tapping and holding with two fingers and pinching out to increase the grid frame size and pinching in to decrease the grid frame size. You can export your art using the Share button on the top right. You can export your art in multiple formats, including PNG image, app icon, and Swift code. SVG support is planned for an upcoming release. The size of the image that is exported is determined by the grid frame size. So, if your grid frame size is set to 200 by 200, the size of your image will be 200 by 200 pixels. Thanks for watching this quick start video. There's a lot more to the app that wasn't covered here, but this should be enough info to get you up and running. If you have any questions or feedback, feel free to send it our way through the in-app feedback form that can be found at the bottom of the grid collection view.